Today we are going to study a little bit more. This is what we did last week. Very confusing drawing. That's my art. Confusion. I was talking about this. You remember the Taichi sign here, and you have the Yin and the Yang. This one is black, and then this one is black, and then here is white, and the other side is white. This other side here. Let me show you. This other side here is white, and let's say this is also white. So with the meaning of it, it's just a symbolic logo for Tai Chi. Um, we always have the black and white, the two opposite, the yin and the yang. The yang right here, and then here is the yin. But within the yang, we always have somewhere somewhat a yin force. And within the yin, we always have a yang force, the positive and negative. It's never totally black and white. It's never always right and wrong. There's always a part where within the right there is some wrong, or the wrong has some righteousness. So in our system, in the Indigo Tai Chi, we want to simplify. So we have this circle here. So let me redraw that circle. The circle here. We have a nice circle, and so you see this circle here. This circle is so beautiful. It's so nice, right? It's perfect. And so back to this circle here of Tai Chi, what we're trying to say is when we are really trying to harmonize the yin and the yang, the good and bad together. We accept them. We're not rejecting them. Then slowly, we get back to the state where we call the perfect circle. And the perfect circle is what? What is perfect circle? It's perfect. Here we call it Tai Chi, right? But here actually we call it Wu Qi. Oops, why do I have X? Wu, Wu Qi, Wu Qi. Why do I have an X here? The Wu Qi. So it's like the two become just one. It's totally united. So this is the perfect circle. But the problem is we don't have a perfect circle. None of us has the perfect circle. In our body, in our mind, our body right here, this circle here it's equal to, in our body, it looks like this. It looks like this. It's not going to be something like this. No, we're not having a circle because our body has a restriction. That this is how our body is. It's a vertical. We're not like a rounded person. So our circle is not a full circle, but our circle will be going up and down. So it's like an oval shape, but vertical oval shape. So so ultimately, when we practice, we want to have a perfect vertical-ish circulation like this. Does that make sense for everyone? So this, for our practice, it will become this. So I'm just putting the 2 points. This is the top of our head, and this is the bottom of our, this is our perineum. We call it the Hui Yin. Okay? So these two are equal. The Hoi So let me write it down for people here. Hoi and then here we call it the Bat Hoi. Bat Hoi. Bat Hoi. If I write wrong for the Vietnamese, you can always tell me because okay. That's for the Vietnamese, but for the English or the Chinese, it's called the Hui Yin. Hui Yin. Make sure you memorize that because in the exam you will have it by Hui, even though there's no exam. All right. So this is how it flows. This is the complete the perfection. But but what happened is there's no perfect in us, in all of us. Maybe in a baby, the circulation is flowing, is perfect when we just get born, when we're just born. But after we grow up and we start to have all these bad habits and so on and so forth, we start to create a lot of locks. We create these few things that we create in our body. We create stagnations. So let me draw the body even bigger here. So you see this how our body is so I make it like this because just to show you the pathway. Let me put it right here so it's easier to see. And let me do, oops, I changed color. Oh, it's okay. So let's do it like this. So you have those little dots right here. It's our flow. But then the problem is we have, let's say we have some, we when we're kids we love um, toys, for example, and we don't want to share, and we fight for it. If we have brothers and sisters, or if we have friends, we don't want to share. We invite our friends to play. We won't always want to win. So suddenly, it will create some kind of lock into our third chakra because wanting the power, wanting to win, wanting to show off, and then slowly, slowly, um, usually when we're young, we don't really like to eat, right? We Because we're so passionate about playing all the time. So our chakra number one is also uh, locked, or actually not locked. A lot of leaking. It's not stable. So our parents have to force us to eat. We forget about survival, and then we grow up, and then we become teenager, and we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of problems about who we are. It's still this third chakra here. So a lot of problem going on in here. And then we grow older, and then we start to meet a lot of people, and we have a lot of confusion with our feelings, our relationship with friends, our people, working. We don't know how to separate emotions, professional um, relationships, and our friends, and all that. We have a lot of problems in the heart center here, and so on and so forth. We have problem with communications, problem with clarity of our life, and problem with connecting with the divine, be connected with heaven. So you see what going on here? A lot of blockage, a lot of blockage. That is just one part, locks. The other part, the other aspect is scatteredness. And especially right now in this day and age with internet, with the technology, it's so easy to be scattered. We watch YouTube, we go on to Facebook, we go on to Twitter, we go on to many apps and websites that nurturing, feeding us into this scattered world, and our thoughts keep going all around the places. And scatteredness is also part of, even if we didn't have technology, but scatteredness of um, um, in our life. We don't know how to organize ourselves with our family, with our work, and with our personal um, s- with our personal life. So we don't know, and then we tend to prioritize things that is not needed, and the not needed or wasting means scatteredness. So the energy keep going out. So you have the leak from the first chakra, but actually it's not only one leak; it's a lot of leaks. And usually in our tradition, in our school, we call those scatteredness as outflows. Outflows. Outflows mean everything is going out. Okay. So there's one part where it's lock. Lock. We call it, for our own language, we call it knots or entanglements. That's one thing here. And then the other one is the scatteredness. We call it outflows. Call it outflows. Outflows in a way that the energy is flowing out, and it does not have a pathway like the one up here. It doesn't have the perfect pathway up and down, a full natural circle. So the idea of practicing, whether it's Tai Chi, Qigong, Inigo Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, self improvement of your own spiritual openness and consciousness, it's all about how we try to go back to this original state, the perfect circle, the perfect circle. So we come back with the circle right here. Oops. We come back to the circle, and we think about, okay, we want to go back to the perfect circle. That's very good and philosophical, and then we say, okay, good and bad. We try to harmonize the two. All right. Now let's bring it to the exercise. How do we do that? So here we cut the circle half. So at the bottom you have the body, and at the top you have the mind. So, and the body we can create a metaphor. We call it like the container, or you can say it's like a cup, or it could be like a bowl. Anything that can contain, uphold. On top is whatever you put in there. It could be the water. It could be the food, right? I'm just using this example of the container. So you need to have the water, the food, or whatever you want to put in the bowl or the cup. Then you have to have certain container. And you remember the when we were talking about our consciousness here. So our consciousness egocentric, and we want to move into altruistic. You remember that? It's getting confusing here. So confusing. I'm sorry for about that. All right. So you have egocentric. So this is the mind, which is our consciousness. Consciousness. And so let's say our consciousness is egocentric. Egocentric. So with the consciousness of egocentric, this is the cup that you need or container that you need. That's it. You don't need more. If the consciousness evolve and become a little bit more altruistic, but then let's say there will be a lot more water pouring down into this little cup here, then the water will overflow. Not enough water. Not the container is not going to be enough. So we need to mold. We need to stretch the container. We need to make the container bigger. We need to change the container. We might need to let go of this one, throw it, trash it, and then get a new one. But we need to work on this one first. We need to work on it and then make it full, the best. And then at the time when it's full, it means that we can sell those beautiful water and all that. And then you have some money to save and get a bigger bowl. Then once you have a bigger bowl, then you put more food, water, and whatever you want. What is it? You change. So just giving a metaphor. But what does it mean? Coming back to here. What does it mean? It means that we need to transform. We need to change our body. An unhealthy body would not able to contain an altruistic consciousness. Or maybe you do have the altruistic consciousness, but you may not be able to maintain it for a long stretch of time. You may not. So the reason why we emphasize so much into the physical practice, make sure that your body is very strong, is to be able to contain that consciousness and maintain it for a long stretch of time. Maybe you can maintain it for a few hours a day. That's really good. But then maybe in the future with the Indigo Taichi, you'll be able to maintain it for a few months. And then maybe you'll be able to maintain it for a year. And maybe you'll be able to maintain for 3 years. There is always a limitation with the body. And that's why the body, you need to keep training it and keep improving it. Keep improving it. And the big issue that we have is that we're also fighting with aging, the aging. Because the older we grow, then the less ability we be able to have. But we need to work right now, as all of you are very young, 15 years old. And so when you grow old, it does not matter as much because you have evolved your body in a way that even if it's older, it still be able to flow, it's still able to contain the unlimited consciousness that you may have in the future when you get 150 years old.
So you're talking about the mind, the upper part, that we are changing our consciousness from the egoistic to the altruistic. But even if I'm not interested in evolving my mind into altruistic, just by practicing the body alone will make us, our mind, feel more happy, more optimistic, more open.
Good, good question. If you just work on your body, and that's a lot of people. There's a part where you just work on the body, and then the other part you just work on the mind. And that's pretty much proven already. Is that people who just do the exercise, not doing any spiritual work, uh, you still you still feel very good, you still feel very positive, so it raises up your spirit in a certain level. That's for sure. So even that alone, it will, and to say that even if you're not focusing on opening up your consciousness to altruism, but you're just working on your health only, even that already uplifts your spirit. But doesn't mean that you go out from egocentric. It just uplifts your spirit. You might get into the way where you're less selfish, yes, but not in the path of altruism. It does that. Okay? And same for the mind. The mind is, if you're just spiritual and you're just working on that, you cannot really work on the deep habit inside of you. You can only work on your mental understanding and mental states, but it will not be able to change much into your behavior. If you are in the mountains and you're not connect to the society, then maybe that's a good way to do. That's not, you know. But if you have a family, you have friends and all that, then you must change your body in order to be able to change your habits. You might have the wisdom, you might have the brightness, you might have a lot of understanding, but you might not be able to express it kindly, kindly. Okay? So you have the mind and you have the body. And so, but here you see this line here, the knife that's cutting in half. It's one important element in our inner Tai Chi, or even in our meditation, in our tradition, in our school, is the breathing. Because the breathing will help to glue the body and mind. If you do the exercise and you don't do the breathing, you just work on the exercise and you kind of sweat because you're working only on the physical part, then most likely there's not much going on. You might feel healthy, very healthy. You might uplift a little bit of your spirit, but you don't have the transformation because it's disconnected. The mind is disconnected with the body. Same for the mind. If you do a lot of meditation, but the body is not there to sustain it, your state of meditation will be very short. It will be not contained because the container is not able to support that level of consciousness. So you need to bring the two together with the breathing. And so this is something else that we're going to work later on. I will go more in detail, but there will be a training we call the breathing. Oops, sorry. Sorry. So here I was drawing here the big line here, the line of the breathing here. Okay, so this is the breathing, and the breathing makes the connection. And why the breathing make the connection? Because breathing is life, and everyone agree with that. If we don't breathe, we die. So breathing is life, and that's why breathing will be able to connect, glue the body and mind. All right. I haven't spoke Vietnamese. I haven't spoke Vietnamese.
Lớp này có nói tiếng Việt không vậy khái niệm?
À, à, muốn nói tiếng Việt, bây giờ phải nói tiếng Việt. Các bác có khỏe không? Các bác đi ăn sáng chưa? Các bác nhớ phải phải uống đủ alcohol. No, 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 no. Okay, let's go back here. Um, cái hình này các bác có biết phải không? Cái hình này là cái thái cực. Thái cực. Trong cái thái cực á, nó có màu màu đen rồi màu 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 trắng ở trong. Rồi cái này á, là màu trắng nè, màu đỏ tức là màu trắng á. Mà trong màu đỏ tức là màu trắng á, nó có cái màu đen nhỏ nhỏ ở đây. Rồi trong màu đen á, tức là trong này á, nó có cái màu trắng ở trong này, ở giữa này. Tức là ý nghĩa là gì? Ý nghĩa âm dương. Một bên là trắng nhưng mà nó có một cái điểm màu đen, rồi một bên mà đen nó có điểm màu trắng. Tức là sao? Trong cái âm nó cũng có cái dương, rồi trong cái dương nó có cái âm, mà có hai cái nó cũng phải hài hòa như vậy. Cái này cái hình của cái thái cực bình thường thì nó cái philosophy, cái lý thuyết của nó là như vậy. Bên hội của mình á, ITC, hoặc là cái nhóm của mình á, thì mình vẽ một cái vòng tròn viên mãn, vòng tròn rất là đẹp như vậy, và mình gạch một cái đường thẳng như vậy. Cái vòng tròn nghĩa là gì? Cái vòng tròn là cái sự hài hòa. Cái hài hòa á, là cái sự là không bị kẹt. Không bị kẹt là sao? Thì trong cái thân của mình á, cái vòng tròn á là nó giống như vậy nè, nó giống cái đường mà tiểu châu thiên á, ở dưới, ở đây, ở trên. hay vẽ lại cho các bác thấy, tại vì vừa nói mà vừa chỉ nó không có thấy. Ở đây mình có bách hội, ở dưới này là mình có hội âm, rồi khi nào mình làm tiểu cho thiên mình lên ở đây rồi hít vô rồi xuống thở ra, phải không? Thì cái này á, tiểu cho thiên á, là cái vòng tròn, là ý nghĩa là nó vòng tròn như vậy nè các bác, như là cái vòng tròn viên mãn như vậy. Đó, thành ra mình muốn trở lại cái trạng thái viên mãn perfect. Lúc mình sanh ra cái vòng tròn của mình á, tiểu cho thiên nó rất là perfect. Rồi sau đó mình càng càng lớn lên á, thì càng mà mắt nó không còn nữa, mình không không còn nữa. Tại sao? Vì cái thói quen. Thí dụ đuối đích, khi nào mình sanh ra thì mình thích cái đồ chơi này cái kia rồi mình không muốn chia sẻ. Thành ra cái luân xa số 3 số 2 á, số 2 tức là tham. Tức là ăn cái gì hoặc là uống cái gì mà mình thích á, mình uống, rồi cái nào không thích á, mình không muốn ăn. Đó là cái tham. Thành ra tự nhiên cái luân xa đó nó bị kẹt, nó nghẹt, kẹt tức là nghẹt. Rồi á, luân xa số 1 á là mình thí dụ là mình không có lo về sinh tồn, không có lo về ăn uống. Lúc mình lớn lớn khoảng 4 5 tuổi á, mình biết là cần đói lắm nhưng mà không muốn ăn, tại vì quá đam mê về chơi. Thành ra luân xa số 1 nó hơi hơi nó cũng bị leaking down. Rồi luân xa số 3 tức là mình phải hay nhất, mình phải thống nhất, mình phải là mình thắng hoài, mình chơi game mình phải thắng cái này, thắng cái kia. Rồi so on so forth, đại khái là như vậy. Thì trong cái thân của mình nó bây giờ nó không còn nó không còn viên mãn nữa, không còn viên mãn nữa. Để so cái này các bác coi như vậy. Rồi cái thân của mình phải không, ở đây. Rồi thì cái luân xa nó không còn thông nữa, nó bị kẹt như vậy, nó kẹt nhiều chỗ, nhiều cái luân xa ở đây, phải không? Trung tâm năng lượng nó không có thông nữa. Cái đó là một chuyện. Chuyện số 2 á, mà khi nào bị kẹt như vậy á, mình gọi là gút thất. Nghẹt hoặc là kẹt mình là gút thất. Rồi á, thất thất gút, gút gút cái nốt á, cái gút á các bác. Rồi á, cái energy số 2 là gì? Là cái sự tán loạn, cái scatteredness. Tức là nó không có đi lên, nhưng mà nó chạy ra ngoài. Tại vì mình không có focus được, mình không có chuyên chú được. Mình bị tán loạn, mình nhìn cái này cái kia. Mà tán loạn là gì? Là mình chuyên chú hoặc là mình làm mấy cái chuyện gì mà nó không có cái ý nghĩa, nó wasteful. Yes, có khi mình phải relax, mình phải có cái thời gian để mình cho release, mình balance lại. Nhưng mà khi nào mình quá đi, mình so involved về cái chuyện mà nó không có ý nghĩa, thì nó làm cho cái năng lượng của mình nó tán loạn ra. Thành ra cái energy ấy, nó không có flow lên nữa, nó không flow được, nó chạy tùm lum hết, nó chạy tùm lum tùm lum. Một là nó bị leak, hai nó chạy tùm lum, ba nó còn bị nghẹt, nhiều lắm. Thành ra bây giờ cái lý do tại sao mình có cái càng không tập trung, gọi là mình ngồi thiền, mình tập yoga, mình tập khí công, mình tập thiền lại tất cả mấy cái đó để giúp cho mình trở lại cái trạng thái vô cực. Vô cực tức là nó trở lại chút đầu là thái cực, tức là nó trở về hài hòa, rồi cuối cùng là trở lại vô cực. Vô cực là vô ngại, không còn nữa. Nhưng mà trước đó thì bây giờ mình phải hiểu là trong cái vòng tròn này á, thì mình cắt làm hai, tại vì mình nói về technical hơn chút cho các bác hiểu thêm. Mình làm cách nào mình hiểu cái triết lý là mình phải trở về hài hòa. Nhưng mà trở về hài hòa như thế nào? Thì ở dưới á, thì mình có cái thân của mình. Ở dưới á, thì là thân. Rồi ở trên nó là cái tâm. Thì cái thân á, cũng như là một cái ly hoặc là cái tô. Rồi cái tâm á, là cái tâm của mình, cái tâm thức của mình. Thì cái tâm thức vi ngã, cái tuần trước mình nói về vi ngã vị tha vô ngã, rồi bất nhị, phải không? Thì mình càng lên như vậy á, cái tâm thức mình nó rộng lớn. Thì cái tâm thức rộng lớn á, tâm thức vì ngã đó, vì ngã, thì cái thân á, tức là cái ly hoặc là cái tách hoặc là cái tô á, không cần cái tô, cần cái chén thôi là đủ rồi, mình cho nó đầy đủ rồi, no problem. Nhưng mà nếu mà này cái tâm thức mà mình gọi là tâm thức vị tha, mình từ từ vào trong cái tâm thức vị tha đó, thì là cái ly này á, hoặc cái tô, cái chén á, thì nhỏ như vậy không được, mình để vô không được. Tức là mình phải cho nó đầy trước đi, rồi nó sẽ flow out. Thành ra mình phải làm sao mà cái ly nó phải mạnh hơn, nó bự to lớn hơn. Bự to lớn là cái gì? Là sao? Là ý nghĩa là gì? Là cái thân phải khỏe, mạnh khỏe. Physical khỏe là một chuyện thôi, nhưng mà nó phải khỏe, spiritually khỏe là sao? Tức là cái năng lượng ở trong. Đầu tiên á, là cái thân nó phải khỏe. Oops, thân phải khỏe thì tâm an bình phải không? Thân khỏe tâm an. Thôi. Ok, lúc đầu thân phải khỏe, nhưng mà sau đó là cái này cũng là cái thân của mình nha các bác ơi. Cái tiểu tro thiên á, tiểu tro thiên là cũng là cái loại thân của mình gọi là cái thân vi tế hình, mình gọi là cái thân tiểu tro thiên. Thì cái thân này á, lúc đầu nó tán loạn phải không? Nó tán loạn, nó chạy ra, nó chạy ra, nó chạy ra, nó bị nghẹt nhiều chỗ, nghẹt nhiều chỗ. Thành ra nó phải khỏe, khỏe là gì? Là nó hoàn toàn nó thông, nó thông. Thành ra cái này nó cũng phải khỏe luôn. Thì cái thân này nó khỏe rồi á, tức là từ từ á, là mình open up thêm cái vị tha. Thành ra cái ly của mình, cái ly là cái thân này nè, cái thân này á, cái thân này á là nó sẽ bự to hơn cái xô, cái ly hoặc là cái gì đó, phải không? Nó bự hơi to hơn. Rồi sau đó cũng sẽ có cái thân mới nữa các bác, nhiều thân lắm, vi tế hơn nữa, càng ngày vi tế, càng ngày càng vi tế. Ok, thì càng ngày càng vi tế thì cái tâm thức nó càng ngày có thể mở thêm nữa, mở thêm nữa, mở thêm nữa, nâng lên. Ok, không phải thân to, thấy rõ ràng không? Thân này là thân physical, rồi bên này là thân mà nó thân năng lượng, nó khác, nó khác. Cái thân này á, nó vẫn là ở trong cái thân, ở trong thân nó còn limit ở trong. Sau đó mình gõ có cái đại châu thiên, mà đại châu thiên là nó ngoài cái thân, nó different, nó hoàn toàn different các bác. Rồi sau đó là một cái chuyện khác nữa, nhưng mà trong cái lớp này á, là mình không cần tới đó, mình chỉ cần tới đây là đủ rồi, tức là tiểu cho thiên.
My question is, so if we do running, jogging, and swimming is also exercise, does that also work the same on the body that support the mind, like integral Tai Chi?
You know what? If you have the breathing, when you do those exercise, you actually get there too. And you see, I draw here. The breathing is so important. So if you are able to match the breathing, if any sports that you practice, that you do, and you actually learn how to breathe, how you ask the best tennis men, for example, and you say, how do you breathe? Then maybe they will teach you. Maybe they never know, but they do it themselves, and that's why they get to this that flow state. Every high sportive athletic, they get to the flow states. It's very spiritual. It brings up to the state where they connect with up higher. So it's the breathing. And I experienced that myself when I was swimming. I get to the flow. When I was jogging, I can get to the flow too. How do I do that? I focus on my breathing. I practice in a way that it integrate body and mind. Breathing. No, no, you don't need to do circulation breathing. You don't need to. Because when you do jogging, you have to, even you swim, you have to out with your mouth. But you have to do in a way that it's harmonizing. It's integrate your body and mind. We gotta figure out, Mabel. We gotta figure out. Even football. Sometimes I get to the floor when I play football. I see everything. I'm so into it, but my body cannot do it. My mind is so clear, but my body is limited. I have not enough training, and that's where the training is very important. You need to have repetition. You have to keep doing it thousands of times, so you're so perfectly into the forms. Then you can execute.
I actually I need to think. I really this is wonderful, especially the breathing. But earlier I thought I heard you please clarify. Did you say when we get older, 50 years old older, and you say something about I mean when you were speaking English, at that time you talk about 50 years old, are we limited or no we're ready? Can you repeat your thought? Because
Yeah,
thank you.
there's limitation for sure in terms of you're not able to do everything that you need to. So it's easier when you start early. If you start early, then you train your body like we just talked about. You get to that flow. Then when you get older, you know how to adjust yourself. Then you don't need to be as healthy as you used to. You still have the same or even better energy flow, but you have to make the transformation early enough. Even if you don't do it early enough, it's okay. You have to work on it, transform it, transform the container. Then, as you go older and older, it will not become more and more harder, but it become easier to adjust. The adjustment will be harder if you don't, but it will be easier if you do. That's my thought. And I mean, I'm not speaking for people or you. Speaking by myself, just myself. I can see the change in my body. I I see how 10 years ago and now I'm different. I cannot do the same as before. Cannot. And so the practice, they keep doing it daily or every week to maintain that and to sustain that and to be able to have the adjustment easier. And unlucky, I was lazy, so I kind of not doing the exercise as often as I should do. Then the adjustment is harder to get back and beyond.
Thank
Okay.
you. Because I show to some of the a little older people, and they say this is too hard. So I just want to encourage them to do in some of the simple way. So thank you.
And that's the reason why it's good to understand in this training. You should ask me a lot of questions when we start to do work on the form. How to do the form for those who have difficulties, those who have not the ability, the body does not allow anymore. What is the key? And then we can adjust for them and simplify for them, and yet it will still work on the body and the internal energy inside. And so, what I was saying in the Vietnamese here is that we have the body and mind, the body and mind, body and mind. And then up here, what did that say? See, this the mind is like our consciousness, right? Consciousness, and the body here is the container to uphold, to contain the consciousness. But what is interesting here is when the consciousness elevate up to altruism, you need a bigger container, right? We all agree on that. What do you think? You think that the body, we want the body to be healthy and more healthy? Oops, more healthy, and then more and more healthy. I just put a H, okay? You think this is how we're gonna make the container better? First, yes, the body has to be healthy, strong and healthy. But then the next step is not gonna be strong and healthy. It is already strong and healthy. The next step is to make your internal body more healthy. What is internal body? The internal body is actually the microcosmic orbit, the microcosmic, the wireframe, your internal. So so the internal, we say that it's a lot of lock and a lot of leak, right? A lot of leak. So now we try to make it so that there's no more locks and no more leaks, or less, very less, so that it's easier to flow. So this is another body, but it's your, maybe we call it a wireframe body. We can call it the microcosmic body, or we call it the internal energetic body. So so I kind of call it subtle body, but then the subtle body, there's many other others. There's many. This is not the final. There's many other. After this, we have the macrocosmic. This is micro. We have the macro later on right here, and then we have more. There's more going on, and those container. Think about that. Those container is to contain different level, higher level of consciousness, broader consciousness. Broader means more open, wider. Okay, so that's the deal right here, and the key here to answer Mabel again, the breathing. We need to work on the breathing. Okay, so today I wanted to kind of go through with you this introduction so that to emphasize what I said yesterday, last week, and then to come back with this and how important is the breathing.